Something else we can do when we're working with our images is we can use the filters that are present in Photoshop. So I'm going to duplicate this layer because the filters I will be working with will be destructive, and we will look and see we have a lot of different filters to play with here, and we're not going to look at all of them. Now, a few words about working with filters is when we work with filters, something that we don't want to do is just apply a filter like this and say, okay, I'm done, look at what I did to my image. So that's not going to be a good way to work with the filter. I'm going to make a couple copies here so that I can try out some different things and show what we can do with it. So color halftone is kind of fun. It creates an interesting pattern that way. Now if I go over here, let's choose something else. If I choose mezzotint, and instead of dots, I'm going to choose short lines. What other options did I have there? Strokes, let's see. No, we'll go with lines today. And hit OK. So then that did something there. So each one of these filters is going to do something different. We might choose, solarize. Ooh, that's ugly. I'm not even going to go with that one. And when we get down to it, often the filters that we work with fall under the noise category. Sometimes we add noise back to add a uniform texture to an image. Other times we're going to use dust and scratches to help remove those dust and scratches from an older image. Blur is something that we use quite extensively. So Gaussian blur gives a really nice overall effect. Now if I zoom it out, you can see how it fuzzes the artwork. So each one of these filters has given me something. But my recommendation is when you're working with filters that you really want to instead work with one or multiple filters all at once. Don't just work with a single filter and call it done. That's not artwork. We've seen it when Photoshop came out with filters that a lot of designers would take a photograph, apply a filter to it to say, hey, look, now I have this stylized image. If you're going to use a filter, try and stack 2, 3, or 4 on top of each other to create something custom and unique. Don't just rely on a single filter. Now another one that works wonders, let's go find image. Actually, I want to go back into this one and work with this image, is Liquify. Now Liquify is fun because it turns the face into essentially plastic or silly putty. Now if we use the base tools over here, I can just take and push and pull and stretch and do things. So that works out okay there. We also have our bloat and shrink. So let's say I want to look like I came out of the film Alita Battle Angel, or I'm an anime character, so my eyes get a little bit bigger. And then maybe I want to shrink my nose down. Now these work just like brushes, so I shrink up my brush using the square bracket keys. And we need some collagen injections in the lips, so let's apply that a little bit, a little puffing out there, build it up. So it looks like I've been hanging out with the plastic surgery folk quite a bit. And if we say okay, then we can see the before after as it's now transformed that image. If we dupe it again, let's go in and try something a little bit different in Liquify. Now one thing that we'll notice in Liquify, if you look on the right hand side, is it does automatically seem to find the face. So with that, I can adjust things. So I can, now I shrunk my eye down a little bit. We can open up the middle of it. We can make it wider or skinnier. Now, if you want to have a little bit of fun here, you could go take a picture of a good friend and just do some real subtle manipulations and repost that same picture back on social media and just let people wonder, why does it just look a little bit off? So as you can see, I can shrink things, move my nose down and up. So it's able to identify a face and find it. So let's see, overall face shape. I can grow my forehead. I can shrink up my chin a little bit. I can adjust my jawline. Do the face width. If we look at the background, we can start to see some distortions are happening because now it's curving as I've moved things around with it. So we're not going to mess with the mesh options right now. I can even make myself smile. Notice how it pulls up the corners of the mouth, or I can frown. We'll go for a smile, why not? And shrink the upper lip. Make the mouth a little bit narrower. A little smaller. And yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. So with that, we can see before, after, and notice how the background is shrinking because the head is attached to it. If you separate the object from the background before you start doing the work, then you're not going to see the background change quite as much. But as we can see, using these destructive filters, so we have the different filters here and Liquify. These are all destructive. I am wrecking or killing pixels, but in the process I can create some pretty interesting things.